Hello everybody and welcome to Men of War Assault Squad 2, or I guess the Men of War Assault Squad 2 editor. And today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to create endless waves of units and how to create a set amount of waves. So I guess like let's say you want a group of guys or a wave of people to spawn only 5 times and then it's done. I'm going to show you how to do that. I will start with the endless wave because doing the set amount of waves is basically the same process, just with a couple extra steps. So I can probably just add those extra steps in after I show you the endless one. But yeah, so the first step to pretty much do anything with spawning guys is you have to just spawn the guys. So I guess I'll throw down a couple squads here of guys with some, I guess, a little bit of everything. So we'll spawn, let's say three groups of 10, and then we'll get some tanks in here. Oops. Okay. There we go. We'll get a medium tank and a light tank. And then we'll crew them.
Yes, sir.
And we'll wait for them to get in. And then once they get in, we'll wait for this last guy here. After they get in, you want to select all your units in the entity window, I guess. And you might be able to hit W here, and a little window will pop up with tags, but that doesn't work for me. So, and if that doesn't work for you either, then you can just go in the sidebar here, scroll down to tags. It should be visible if you just scroll all the way down. But you go to tags here, hit these 3 dots, and then you want to add the hidden tag like that, spelled exactly like that. What that's going to do, as soon as you hit start, it's going to just hide these units, and then we can go through each squad and add an individual tag if I want to. I think I'll do one for the infantry, one for the vehicles, just to make this go a little bit quicker. But you could put one tag for these guys, one tag for this, one tag for that. But I'll just do tanks and infantry here. So we'll select all the infantry. We'll open up the tags menu again, and we'll call this USA underscore infantry, or INF. And then the tanks, we'll do USA tanks. And we have our tags. So now we need to set up a bunch of waypoints. These are going to be basically the path the guys take into combat, most likely. And we're going to want to split these up. So we'll hit the add button up there in the waypoints menu, and we'll do the USA INF, and then we'll hit add here to add a waypoint. And I think if we should be able to add multiple sources. Yeah, we can add multiple sources. All of these guys are going to be spawned at once. So I think all of them will choose one path or the other, but I guess we'll find out. And again, usually I'd have like a separate tag for each group, so I'd have a separate path for each group, but again, I'm doing this just to be a little bit faster. And then to actually create the path, you select the root one, and then you hit the little add button down here, and then you just click like that, and you'll know it works when there's a little yellow line connecting them. So then we'll take this one right here, and have that go straight up. So now the infantry will take one of 2 paths. It'll take 0 to 3 or 1 to 5 here. Or I guess 0, 0, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5. Yeah, I kind of screw that up, but whatever. And then we'll do the tanks. So USA tanks. Do the same thing here. We could probably just have one root node for that, and then we'll have the tanks just kind of go around like that. And then we will go to the trigger, which is where all of the actual stuff happens. And we'll hit add, and we can do we'll do USA and then a /, and what that's going to do, it's going to make like a little sub trigger. You'll see USA, then INF, and if you do that /, it kind of creates like a folder system. And then we'll add another one in here, USA / tanks, and it adds it right there. Oh, I hit UNF. Oops. Let's do INF. There we go. And for the infantry, we need to we're doing the endless waves, so we don't need any conditions. Yeah, well, you could do some conditions here, but you don't need any to just do a basic endless wave setup. So we will go right to commands, and we will hit add, and we will add a waypoint command. Select actor for the who field. Tag, set that to the infantry tag, so UNS infantry. Again, if you're doing a separate waypoint and a separate tag for each group of units, you would have to make a trigger for each group of units, which is why I'm only doing infantry and tanks, because that would take some time. And then we want to oh no, they're not going to start at either waypoint. Okay. I believe we'll just do 0. I'll set this up quick, and then I'll go back and fix those waypoints. Yeah, you can't have multiple root waypoints. But I'll hit 0, and then check clone, check make squad, and then we can name the squad. We'll just do USA INF, the same. And then approach, I'm going to leave this empty. And what that's going to do is when these guys spawn in, they're going to spawn in exactly where they are right here, and then start moving. If you do teleport, they're going to teleport to waypoint 0 or whatever waypoint you do. If you do teleport and rotate, I think they're going to be facing whichever. I assume they're going to be facing the waypoint, the connection waypoint. Hold on.
Very suspicious.
They're going to be if they spawn at 0. Let's say, okay. Let's say I had these guys with a separate tag right here. They're facing that way. But then I spawn them in with the teleport and rotate. Then they're going to spawn at the waypoint 0 facing the connection to waypoint 2. I think that's how it works. But I'm going to go back to that waypoint command. And I'm just going to turn off I'm going to turn it off completely. So when they spawn in, they spawn exactly where they're standing right here. And then they go to the waypoint. And I'm also going to fix this waypoint here. So we're going to get rid of all that, actually. So we're going to have this waypoint, and then we're going to add some other stuff. And then we can go back to the root one and add another one. So all of these guys are either going to go 0 to 3 or 0 to 10. This way or this way when we spawn them in. Okay, and that's the waypoint command. What's next here? I don't need that. That's for the other stuff. Okay, actor state. The actor state is basically what controls the pace of these guys. And I've had some issues with I guess, like spawning guys in. Every time I spawn guys in, the very first time I run it, they basically spawn in without their helmet, and their weapon is holstered basically, or on their shoulder. I guess we'll see what happens here, but the actor state command I think can fix that. I'll have weapon prepare on, control AI, fire mode open, move mode free.
Strange. Nobody told us about it.
AI move enabled. And movement, we can have, I guess, anything you want. Let's do normal. And that should be that for the actor state command.
Suspicious.
Amazing.
Then after the actor state, we put a delay. What this delay is going to do is basically give space between the waves. So we'll have about, let's do 15 seconds for a delay. So we don't need that one. And then we're going to add a trigger command. And we're going to get the name of this trigger. So USA INF, we're going to select this trigger. And we are not going to select on, because what's happening every time this hold on. Every time a trigger fires, it basically runs through the commands and then it's done. And basically what this is doing right here, it's basically resetting the trigger. So as soon as the trigger gets to this point, it's saying, "Oh, this still needs to be fired," which is why we don't have it checked on. If we had it checked on, it'll basically fire once and then it's done, and it won't be endless waves at that point. So we check this off. So basically, when it gets to here, when it gets to this final one, the game, I guess, registers that this trigger hasn't been fired. So it fires it again. It eventually reaches this command, which then shuts it off, and that's what creates the endless wave effect. And that should be that for the infantry. I guess we'll do this for the tanks. I think there might be an extra step for vehicles, but I guess we'll find out. Did I make the vehicles one? Yes, 6. 6 is the waypoint we're looking for. We'll bring this back a little bit. No, we won't. No. Yeah, we'll bring it right there.
Amazing.
Okay. And then we add the waypoint. Actor. I remember there being something extra you had to do with vehicles, or there might not need to be that. We'll hit 6. Clone. Make squad. Name squad. USA. Tanks. Approach. We will have no approach. There might be something else I need to do with the vehicles. I don't remember.
Quite unexpected.
Then the standard actor state thing. Wait, no, we might not. Wait, it's not a... Okay, there we go. Now it showed up. I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just vehicles. I assume it's not going to be it's not going to be too crazy. And then for the tanks, we'll do a delay of 30 seconds. And then the trigger again. And we want to get the trigger that we're working in to basically make it reset, and that should be that. All right, there we go. It worked for the vehicles as well. And we have, yeah, one squad of 30 guys, and then the team of tanks. There we go. There's the infantry. Then the next wave of infantry should spawn with the tanks as well, and they're just following their stuff. And this is literally just going to go on forever, because remember, for both of the triggers, every single time the trigger fires, it basically resets itself. Then there's the infantry again. Oh, looks like I set the infantry to hold position. But yeah, that's basically that. One more time. We'll see if the tanks come in again. There they are. Alright. And my computer is kind of a laggy piece of shit. Like, I got the graphics turned down and it's still lagging. But I do have OBS open, but... Spawning big waves, that's not even a big wave. At least not by my standards. Spawning waves is gonna hurt the computer a little bit. But now it is time to do the set amount of waves. So first of all, we'll go back into the infantry here and set the move mode zone. Oh, set the move mode to free. There we go. Now, we'll do the set amount of waves. So let's say we want to have 5 waves of infantry spawn in, but only 2 waves of tanks. And then after the 5 waves and the 2 waves, we're done. We never spawn anything else. So to do that, we basically have to create 2 counters. And then every single time a trigger fires, we have to increment the counter, and then we're going to have a condition here which basically checks the variable, and then once the variable reaches whatever the number is, then it stops the execution, or it prevents any further executions. So we'll hit F9 here, and then we have the vars field here, which is variables, and we're going to open that up. And oh yeah, I messed around with this stuff. I already got 2 here, so we're going to delete both of these quick, and we're going to create 2 more. One for the infantry, one for the tanks, USA, INF, and USA tanks. And that's all you need to do in here. Get out of there, and then we'll go to our triggers, and we'll go to conditions. We'll go to CMP_I, that condition. We'll open that up. Have that work, and then we have our variable right here. So this is for the infantry. We will select the USA infantry, and then the operator we want to have less than, and then 5. So basically we want to, I think we want to subtract one number because it starts at 0. So the very first, as soon as the game starts, it's going to do the first wave, which means it's going to be at 0, and then it's going to go up to 1. And then it's going to check again. So yeah, we want it to be less than 5. Because on the fifth time it's going to read 4. And then it's going to fire, and then yeah. That might not have made any sense, but whatever. You add that, just basically do the less than symbol and then choose the number you want. Because it's going to start at 0. And the way it all works, it's basically -1 because it starts at 0. The counting starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 5, and then 5 would be 6. It's programming shit. Then in the commands, you add a generic set I, and then again you're going to have your variable thing. You want to select the variable that is relevant. So that's the USA infantry here, and then the operator you want to do plus, that's going to be increment, and then you want to increment it by 1. So you're just raising it by 1 every time this trigger fires. And then at the very end here, if you're doing it like this, you want to right click on that command and hit up. And well, actually that might not actually matter, but you want the trigger reset to be last, just to be safe. And then we do the exact same thing with the tanks. So now we go to the condition for the tanks trigger, CMP_I, open that up. We get our tanks counter. We get less than, and we want 2 waves of tanks. And then we add the set_I command, and we select the tanks counter. Increment by 1, move that command up, and now we should have 5 waves of infantry, 2 waves of tanks. So that's 1 of each already. Two infantry waves. That should be the last wave of tanks, and we're on 3 for infantry. So normally, the 5th wave of infantry is going to come with tanks, but with this setup, there should be no tanks with the 5th wave. So the next wave is going to be 4, there we go, and then there should be 1 more wave of infantry, and there should be no tanks with that. And then after, nothing else will happen because the counters have risen to the amounts that are going to prevent the triggers from firing in the future at all. And there, no tanks, just infantry. And now that should be it. And these guys are still set to... Oh, that's their fire mode. Or I guess I had both screwed up. But yeah, look, no one's moving. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of infantry, and then 2 groups of 2 tanks. And obviously, this is why I would split up my groups a little bit, because they just get all bunched up like this. But yeah, still no more spawns like this. And you could have like you could have little spawns like this. Like you could have 10 groups of riflemen come out of like a tiny 10 groups of 2 riflemen coming out of this little LCVP, or I guess right out in front of it, kind of moving up there, and do that for each one. I guess anything you can think of. But yeah, still not spawning. Everything's looking good. So there we go. That is endless waves and a set amount of waves. And yeah, works for vehicles, should work for everything. So yeah, I was just messing around with that and thought I'd throw together a video on it, because why not? And let's check these guys out. Return fire. Okay, open fire. But yeah, that's going to be it for this. And yeah, figuring out how to use these counters, creating variables here, and then getting the CMP_I condition and the set I_command. With those 3 things, you can do a hell of a lot with just counters. So yeah, you can. There's a lot you can do with like counters alone. So should allow you to make some pretty nasty missions. But yeah, that's going to be it for this. I've also looked into zones, although that's I can do a separate video on zones about like let's say you want to start spawning a certain type of unit once a certain zone is cleared. You could set that up, but that's I could probably do that in another video or something. But anyway, if you made it here, thank you for watching. If you watch any of my other stuff, thank you for watching that as well. And I will see you in whatever I decide to do next time. So thank you for watching.